How good are you at twiddling your thumbs and doing nothing? Well, if you're like Janice Jones, not very good at all. The good news is that heading towards retirement, Janice's need to keep busy has meant that she and her husband are comfortable in their retirement instead of relying on a government social security check to live. All this from her income-producing website smalldogplace.com, supported by the rock-solid technical support and education from Solo Build It, SBI. Hello, I'm Paul Buckingham, roving ambassador for Solo Build It. Janice doesn't just have one website, she has 5. No time for twiddling thumbs there. One of them is for a childcare centre that she owns in Texas, and another is for a recently purchased site on the subject of crochet. The other sites are related to small dogs, and in this personal profile, we'll be touching on just 2 of them and focusing on how having an independent income has changed her and her husband's experience of retirement.
Well, it certainly made me feel a little bit more comfortable and confident about the future because right now, both my husband and myself are getting Social Security, which is what the government provides. And my husband has a pension, but I don't believe that we could live on those checks every month. And so this has really been a lifesaver because that way we know we have some cushion there.
Every website tells a story, and here we discover how Janice has combined her passion for small dogs and breeding together with her joy of learning and created a successful financial future. We'll discover her online journey right after this.
We moved from Texas to Ohio when my husband basically lost the job. It was a government job and the contract ended. And so his company moved him here to pick up a different contract. And so, of course, we all moved with him. When I got here, I did not want to go back out to work to find a new job because I was still connected to Texas and to needing to do different things for the business out there. So I stayed at home, but I found out I'm not very good at just sitting home and twiddling my thumbs.
So you clearly have some incomes from your husband's work and you clearly have income from the daycare centre. But at the same problem, you're in a new town where I presume you don't know too many people and you can't really sit still. What sort of solutions did you go through? Because you're really in a position there to create a journey for your life that is unprecedented. You've got so many options.
Well, I always loved dogs. We always had dogs. And in my 20s, I worked for about 8 or 9 years as a veterinary technician in a vet hospital. And that also included some work in dog shelters as well. So I just decided to go back and relive my 20s again. And I went back and started looking at different things. I know a lot has changed, but a lot has still stayed the same. And since I had that knowledge, I thought I'd put it to use. And that's when I stumbled on SBI.
So let's look at that for a minute. You've got an idea of something that you might want to do around dogs generally because you've got some expertise and all the rest of it and passion and, you love the subject clearly. Mm-hmm. What made you even look at online as a concept? Because logically you might just sort of set up a puppy school or something or other where you are.
Well, back in the 1990s, I actually had another website, not with SBI. And it was a total disaster. I had to cut my losses and walk away, but it was a business with my sister writing preschool curriculum materials and trying to sell them online. And back in the 90s, there were not nearly the kind of resources that we have today. So there was a lot of reasons why that business failed, but I had some exposure to being online and uploading information and stuff like that.
All right, so you've had a bit of an exposure to online, which is a pretty good start. It's not uncommon. Still, the concept of, especially after a failure, of approaching another website would be a bit daunting. Most people would go, oh, that didn't work. I'm going to go back and get a job or something. What made you continue to look online?
Well, I think by the time 2012 or 2013 rolled around, online appearances looked a lot different. And when I stumbled on SBI, I was pretty impressed because it was not only a company that would provide the hosting for me, but it was going to help me learn how to do it the right way this time. And so I was really impressed with that. Needed somebody to kind of hold my hand and help me go through it.
So what was the first site that you contemplated starting?
Well, with Solo Build It, it was Small Dog Place.
And the focus?
We went through the brainstorm it, and the numbers were excellent as far as small dogs, small breed dogs, those kind of keywords. And so I just decided I'm going to do this, and the rest is history, as they say.
You've moved to a new state, and obviously you're fairly settled at this point.
Mm-hmm.
How much time are you finding that you're needing to put into it? Is it taking you away from other aspects of your life?
Well, initially, there was a lot of content to write because I wanted to write a breed profile for all small dogs, and I think I'm finding like 90 of them. And that took a while. That took a lot of time. But I have 3 children, 2 of which were full grown, and I had a daughter in middle school at the time, and she was doing her own thing. And so she was at an age where it's like, Mommy, I don't need you around. So it worked out perfectly for me.
And when you started looking at the site as an option and then accepting Solo Build It as a mentor, if you like, for building an online success, well, did you have a long-term plan? I'm thinking from a view now, looking back, did you go, gee, this is something that in 7, 8, 9, 10 years, nearly what we're talking about here, is that could really have an impact on my financial well-being?
Actually, no, I wasn't even thinking that far ahead. I know that a lot of people do that, but I was just more or less thinking I'm going to make a little bit of extra money on the side, because I had taken a bit of a cut in pay when I left because the childcare business, there's not a lot of profit to be made in it. And so I took a big cut in pay in order to be able to pay my director what she deserves. And so I was trying to make up the difference, actually.
Yeah. In my observation, when somebody begins a site and, they think, I'd like to be able to make a little bit of money from it as time goes by, there's this kind of space where there's excitement and expectation and then, oh my God, what have I got myself into? And then there's a moment of, holy mackerel, this is actually working, Is that true for you? And what was your holy mackerel moment?
That's interesting. Yes, I think so. I think there was. I would say probably maybe a year to 18 months into it, I started looking at, I used AdSense, Google AdSense at first. And first it was, $1 here, $1 there. And then I got up to like $30 or $40 a day. And it was continuing to grow. And I thought, I can make money doing this. This is pretty cool.
Yeah. Very good. So at what point then in the journey did you go, well, this is so cool, I think I'll start another site? Because the Solo Build It, methodology says ideally you really want to be pretty established before you think about another site.
Well, actually, I did have another site at the time because once I moved here, I also started breeding dogs, not exactly the same time, but soon afterwards. And I needed somewhere to sell it. And so I got this website. I think it was a Yahoo website. I think they used to have Yahoo websites. And it was a disaster. The website was hard to use. It was not user-friendly whatsoever. It was really clunky. And I finally decided, no, I can't stand this website. And once I was on SBI or Solo Build It, I realized, oh my goodness, what am I doing? So I just got rid of that old one and went directly with Solo Build It. And it was so much easier to use. And I already had some idea what I was doing. So that came within a year after I started Small Dog Place.
Here's a new side to you, Janice. You're breeding dogs as well. Why did I not think that you might be doing something extra? So tell me about breeding dogs and how you get found. It's like, how does that normally work for you?
Well, it's just absolutely amazing to me how I get found, because I get found from all over the world. And I'm not a breeder who is going to say, for example, ship a dog to Australia. I think a puppy taking that kind of a trip may not make it. And so I have to tell people all over the world that I can't send them a puppy. But for the most part, it's the website that does it. I didn't really have to advertise anywhere else. I was on Facebook, but that was not the big thing. It was the website that seemed to draw people to me. I would ask them, where did you find me? And they'd say, well, you came up first when I Googled you. I'm like, oh, so that was kind of a surprise to me.
Yeah. You talk about Facebook. Is that where you marketed as well? Is that what you mean?
I do believe that most breeders operate out of Facebook. They enjoy just posting pictures and their litters and telling everybody they have puppies available. They all sell their dogs eventually, but usually mine are sold before they're born. And so I don't have to worry about having to constantly posting on Facebook and answering messages and things like that. If somebody is interested, I'll tell them to come to my website and we contact through there. My personal feelings are that Facebook is fine, but not everybody is on Facebook. And there may be some people looking for puppies that don't want to be on Facebook. And so I get those rather than the ones that are on Facebook.
We won't focus on that site too much in this interview, but let's just pause there by saying, are you able to give us an idea of roughly how much you might be making a month or a year from that site from puppy dog sales?
I would say probably $50,000 to $60,000 USD
a year.
Mm-hmm.
What you're finding is that pages that are created in the way that Solo Build It basically say these are the way you need to create the page are really working for you. I mean, that's a hell of a return on $300 a year.
Absolutely, yeah. You save a lot on advertising costs too, because I don't have to do that.
That's right. I mean, that would seriously dent your income. And the extra fact too that you're not feeding the litter once they're born and all of that kind of thing as well, for very long at least, must mean that your overheads are quite small. I'm very impressed. I might become a dog breeder. So let's go back to smalldogplace.com, and I particularly want to look at the site and what it brings you, especially in relation to your financial journey now and maybe for the next 10 or 15 years. You said at the beginning that you hadn't really thought too much about income, that it might be just a bit of a replacement for what you've lost from the childcare centre. But do you have another perspective now? Because for somebody watching that is, looking at retirement even now, or looking at the next journey for the next 10 or 15 years where they may not be too sure about their income, there's a lot going on. How has having an income from your site changed your view?
Well, it certainly made me feel a little bit more comfortable and confident about the future, because right now, both my husband and myself are getting Social Security, which is what the government provides. And my husband has a pension, but I don't believe that we could live on those checks every month. And so this has really been a lifesaver, because that way we know we have some cushion there. Plus, if there's something we want to do, if we want to travel, we know that we're going to have a little extra money that we can feel comfortable saying, yes, let's take this trip.
Yeah.
So it's been the emotional aspect has been wonderful. It's been very, very good.
Yeah. So your husband's also retired now?
Yes.
So he's a kept man?
Sort of. Yeah. I never thought of it that way. How roles reverse over the years.
Yeah. So somebody understands then what we're talking about. We've already talked about maybe 60 or 70,000 US dollars from the breeding. How about the smalldogplace.com side? Can you quantify what kind of income you're looking at there?
Well, I have Mediavine as the company that provides the ads on that site. And I also do a little affiliate marketing, and it depends on the time of year. Obviously, the last quarter of the year is so much better than the first quarter. The first quarter this year has been a little bit smaller than what I was making before, but approximately just from Mediavine alone, I'm bringing in about $4,500 a month.
Right.
And that varies.
Of course. And I presume your traffic is seasonal as well?
Not so much. My traffic, all my people come to visit me on the weekends, which makes sense, I guess, if they're working all week long and they want something to do on the weekends. But seasonally, it's not so much. It's been good because of the pandemic, people kind of isolating in their home and having nothing to do and wanting a dog or wanting to name a dog that they already have or learn how to take care of it. So the pandemic has actually been good for that particular website.
You talked about the income from Mediavine being around about 4.5, and it's going to be give or take every month, of course. What's the affiliate income you have, just so that we understand? Are you talking about products from other sources?
Yes, of course, Amazon is one that's very easy to use, and I have used that. They don't give me quite as much money as I would like, but that is one source that's pretty regular. And then there's a couple products that I actually promote and push through my breeding clients, and I make a lot of sales on Small Dog Place just by putting the ad on that particular website. So that's only about maybe $500 a month extra. So, and then Amazon is really nothing, maybe 150. So,
what impact has it had on you? I mean, it's really easy to go, well, yes, it's made our life feel a lot better. We've got a lot more freedom. But what does that really mean to you as a couple about your sense of security going forward? Because, the alternative's not that great.
That's right. I feel much better knowing that I have a little extra income, because you really don't know what the future holds. We could have health problems. We might get to the point where we want to leave this house and move into a small house. We just want to have that extra security, knowing that if the refrigerator breaks, we can actually go get a new refrigerator, for example. And then there's also those other things that people don't think about when they're young, like we might need somebody to help shovel snow someday or mow the lawn. And right now it's fine, we can do it ourselves, but that's not going to be the case forever. And so having those extra things, knowing that we can hire somebody to do some of the things that we won't be able to, that makes a big difference too.
Yeah. You talk about that in the context of the income from smalldogplace.com, but not in the context of the breeding that you're doing. Is that something that you would see that you'd kind of begin to ease off after a while, so you wouldn't be doing that again?
I think so. I have been downsizing. I'm down to 12 dogs now. People would think that was insane, living with 12 dogs, but that's less than what I used to have. Plus, my house has a lot of my house has a lot of infant gates and little enclosures for the puppies. And so I'm finding myself climbing over gates all day long. And one of these days, I'm so afraid that I'm going to climb over a gate and I'm going to fall. And that could be a problem.
Yeah.
So, having less dogs would definitely make life easier. I do think I will continue to breed, but just maybe not as many litters a year.
So that really puts SmallDogPlace.com into a focus of, it doesn't require you to do day-to-day work physically, particularly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could write if you needed to, and still it rolls on. People are not going to get sick of looking for dogs, so you're in a pretty good niche. All right. So what do you think attracts someone like you to the notion of even having a site, let alone a site that Solo Builder will support you through to, get great income to secure your future?
I'm not really sure. I like to write. I've always liked to write. One of the things I had to learn was how to write for online audiences. That was a little different than the kind of writing I had done before. I like taking photographs. And I most of all, just like learning about things. I really have spent the last 7-8 years just being a lifetime learner of all kinds of things. And to me, that's as valuable as anything else. Just being able to research and understand the world, and as it pertains to dogs in particular for this website, but that has made all the world of difference to me too.
That's interesting. So we've talked a little bit about Solo Build It and the hand it's had in your growth and development, and your obviously growth and development of your income as well. Can you talk about a little bit about what it is that's really resonated with you with Solo Build It to enable you to continue to grow and develop and, stay there for another 10 or 15 years or more?
Wow, there's so many different things. Right now in my, where I'm at right now, I think I really like the forums. A Solo Build It has the most amazing, informative, and smart people that are so willing to help. And it's just such a warm feeling, knowing that you can go into the forums and somebody's there to take their time just to help you with your own problem. And I've never experienced that anywhere, anytime in my entire life. That's where I'm at right now. But there's so many other things too. So,
such as?
It started out with the action guide because I don't think I could have done it otherwise. I had to have step-by-step instructions. Tell me what I need to do. Tell me how to do it. Tell me why I'm doing it, things like that. And that's what the action guide helped me do. And it also helped me steer away from some of the mistakes that I had made in the past, which was a lot. And I like brainstorm it too, because I know that if it was just up to me to just come up with a topic, I'd just write on whatever I felt like writing about it, and it wouldn't have made a difference. I needed someone to tell me, hey, look, this is a good page to write about. Learn about this subject and write about it, because this is where you might be able to make some money. So I really like that aspect too.
Yeah. You talked about mistakes, first of all. Are you able to pick one that you went, that was an absolute clanger, and working with Solo Build It prevented me from making it again?
I think basically like the 2 attempts that I had before I got with Solo Build It, which I mentioned earlier, it was just a matter of not really understanding the online world whatsoever. I just figured people would just put whatever they wanted to put online, talk about whatever they wanted to do, and that was that. And I kind of really feel like I got the whole picture through Solo Build It. It wasn't just a matter of making pages. There was a lot more to it than that. And I probably would have learned things here and there, but there's so much of wrong information out there that I feel comfortable being able to trust SBI to tell me, no, that's probably not correct. You really want to do it this way. And that helps a lot too, because the false information is just ubiquitous out there.
Yeah. We're getting towards the end of the interview, but I did want to ask you from the particular point of view of somebody that might be looking at a solo build it as a possible resource for them to be able to build a successful online business and to generate income in the way that you have. Is there a particular reason you'd really go, this is really worth a look. You should go ahead and do this?
I think for anybody my age or older, there's just more benefits than disadvantages to it. They walk you through it. It's not something, if I can do it, anybody can do it. That's the way I look at it. And also, it just gives you a peace of mind, and it makes your brain continue to work. And we definitely need that brain health as we get older. So I definitely recommend it. It's not a get rich quick scheme, but it's worth it in the long run, especially if you have a real passion for something. And at my age, it's a lot of times we want to give back. We want to be the mentor to the younger generation. And this is one way you can do it, especially if you don't have a lot of people, if you're not a teacher or someone out there that has access to a large population of people to mentor. This is a good way to do it. You're helping somebody and at the same time, you're helping yourself.